So just recently, actually, there was a guy earlier who mentioned this. But real quick, before I get started, it's interesting at times who choose to be the peacemakers. Now, I'm not knocking progress, but it's interesting at times when people choose to, speak up and try to, defend people and different things, and still accuse certain people of certain things, not knowing because they can't stay in their own lane. But I'm getting to what this is, and it's going to all start making sense. And so it's important that we learn to keep our mouths off of one another. This is a lesson I learned. Like I said, man, I have really strong feelings towards a particular person. And at one point in time, I didn't call her anything negative necessarily, but I associated her with a bad dream and said that she quite possibly was the cause of that. And I know that discouraged her because just seeing her more and more over the years, I got to see the type of heart that she has. We are very similar in a lot of ways, and it grieved me a lot. And so, I tried to joke my way back in last year. It didn't quite work the way I planned. And so, I just, tried to be sincere in my apology recently because, we got to be careful who we speak on, especially people who have the Holy Spirit. And as I've said, you never know where he is. People think he'll be in the most obvious place, and that's not always the case. God has people everywhere. And even he ever has struggling people that he abides in. And a lot of people, they don't want to come to terms with that. But to go to my point, there was a particular situation, and like I said earlier, a guy brought this up, where there was a guy at my job. And, I be noticing a bunch of things, and people dislike me for different reasons. Everybody has their own reasons, and some may have valid reasons. Some, I think, is inflated, not only because of the confidence that I'm, showing in myself, but at times I do have too much of, I don't care what somebody think about me, and that could rub people the wrong way at times. But I just developed that, after being attacked online, like realizing like, hey, ain't nobody your friend out here. People see you at your worst. They still call you struggling and all, and nobody reached out to help. And so going through that helped me develop tough skin. Not saying I don't still get hurt. I'm a human being. It's amazing how low people will go to try to hurt me. But, I experienced things as well. But the point of this, on my second, actually it's my third stint at the same job, I wanted to start off and finish, in a better position than I did the last time I was there. And so, though I didn't do anything that I'm going to be accused of in this video, I just wanted to do better overall, and that was my outlook on the situation. And we have to know God understands the thoughts and the intents of a heart. And so, as I said, man, my goal was to come in here, just work hard in different things, do what I needed to do, and make things better, help different people who I felt like, they may be part of my life for this season, maybe even long term. And I'm not talking about relationship wise, just a brother and sister connection, because, a lot of those girls I have built bonds with. Actually, not a lot, a handful. But either way. So a person, and as I've said, man, I've had a problem with still in my life. Like, I'm not going to get into details because people tend to use details against you. And it might be in their next message. But I had that problem with stealing. But as I said, my mindset and everything has been to do better. I'm working towards greater things. I want to be married and all types of things. And so, doing stuff like that should be beneath, a grown person that's doing things like that. And so, I guess one day, a particular employee and one of the managers was checking me out. And the employee tells the manager that, hey, watch him. I bet you he end up stealing. And so she like, nah, not Devin. She like, man, I'm telling you what. And so, I had brought up a situation. As I said, it didn't even have nothing to do with what this person was trying to do. And this ought to show you that I can see certain things. And people, okay, you get, I don't know where I was at, but almost got whacked by a car. So that's why I need to be in mind, huh? Anyway, so he goes on it. Dang, I need to stay focused. But anyways, he goes to say, I bet you he steals, man. Like, just watch him. Funny thing is, some people would do certain things like that because they're doing something and they don't want to be found out about something. And so they'll put, and as I'm going to get into that point, but number one, at this point in time, I'm not drinking or anything. Like, I haven't had any strong liquor in probably going on 2 years now. Like, it's even the thought of trying to take some in is hard for me. Like, dang near want to throw up even thinking about it. But like I said, that accusation happened. That's not to say I don't go in that cooler and get me bottles of water. I guess that's how I get my little fix. But I admitted that. And they see that. You whatever we do, you can see on the camera. And I know I'm always on the camera. And because I deal with the merchandise directly, which I end up telling the manager, I know that if anything goes wrong, I am the first person that they're going to come and talk to. So, oh, you good, brother? So, stealing $100 at this point ain't worth it when you got bigger things in mind. And so, point of the matter is, they said that end up getting fired for the same thing that they was accusing me of. But as I said, just based on the information, it was almost like they were trying to use me as a shield to cover their deception. And we got to recognize when people do certain things like that. People will talk about all sorts of things, but when it's time to address a particular thing, they try to use something to distract the people and get on something totally different instead of addressing what they need to address. Now, all that being said, because there's order to everything, right? So I feel like if he would have said, just keep an eye on him, like just something don't sit right, that would have been different than condemning a person. Even if you see a person, like, man, they capable of certain things. Like, for you to try to speak that on a person, and that person isn't guilty of those things, or that's not what is in a person's mind or heart, you gotta be careful. And so anyways, he ended up getting fired for the same thing. And I was talking to the manager yesterday about it. And it's funny because the story connect. I talked about a situation a while back. I'm not going to get into it. But either way, it was brought together by that information. The fact that I'm seeing these things play out, and I was telling her, like, people don't understand. People think I'm slow because of how I talk at times. I talk the way I do because I guess, kind of a speech impediment. And so when I talk fast or I think too fast, I stutter. And I guess my mind done figured out a way to communicate. And sometimes it's like, it's slow, it's going to be slurred. I used to always get talked about, about how I talk. People used to call me Shaq all the time. No offense, Shaq. But with all that being said, this person ended up getting fired for the same thing they accusing me of. And so we got to learn to be careful about our projections on people, because I learned this with myself. No matter how pure of a heart that I have, at times I have gotten upset with somebody and said things about them that I don't mean, or I projected, and immediately, for whatever reason, God corrected. I don't know why he get on me like that. I'm grateful for it for sure, but immediately I get corrected. Gotta go through some things, but immediately I get corrected, which is a good thing, because at times you go on doing things, you think you're doing something right, and then when trouble hit, you don't know how to respond. But this isn't taking no shots at anybody. And so the whole point of this is you got to learn how to talk to people. You have to learn how to talk about people and talk about particular subjects. If you see a story on the internet, because people will never admit certain things, like they see certain things and then they start shooting arrows at people and they start accusing people of different things in slight ways, and then they end up at times catching consequences. I know because I've been through this. And even if people want to take this, because some people are going to try to use this to their advantage, like, hey, he took consequences due to me. I mean, if you so full of yourself that you think that, then, go ahead. But at times, I know I've taken certain hits. Certain things are replaying my mind, things that I've said. Direct things, like, even the people you would least suspect, it'd be like, I thought that person was a witch. I know that person was practicing witchcraft, but I said this about him, and not knowing that, hey, you was trying to use me to reach him, but because I spoke to him this way, now I got to get routed because I didn't talk to him the right way. It's like, we got to learn how to talk to people, especially people who claim to be in leadership. You got to have a better way of communicating things. Can't just say what you feel about people at all times. Like, if you want to voice your personal opinions, that's one thing, but don't project how other people feel and think. Or accuse people of certain things that they may not be doing or doing, because eventually you have to deal with your words. Your own, like, we are the son of man. So your words you speak, your own words at times is gonna judge you. It's crazy, bro. But anyway, y'all get it when y'all do. Peace.